G'day you lot, welcome back to In My Shed. I'm BC. Bit of a winner Sunday. You saw in a couple of videos ago where I was taking the frames off the mill with the engine crane, and I did, despite this screw here, a mighty blow and busted the bloody thing off. It's the stud that goes in the middle of the hand wheel for the feed. And I got a little bit perturbed when I started to measure it. That tiny little blighter there is the screw, and that's the knurled knob off the old one. And I thought I could just do a simple thread repair on this. Either drill the knurled knob and put a stud in or something like that, until I had a good look at it. And the closest measurement I could get was 532 Whitworth. And I've never seen that in a faster period. Didn't match up at BA, and I thought, hell, I'm stuck trying to buy an original or tap that out to 4mm and put a stud in the back of the screw. And I thought, bugger, I'll see what price the new one is. And Modern Tools down in Melbourne, they're the agent for First Milling Machines. They said to me, geez, we may have parts, that thing's nearly 30 years old. Well, it's in good nick and it still works well for a 30-year-old machine. They had an assembly which is duly fitted. You get the knurled outer sleeve which spins on the screw and there's a circlip at the back. But I think personally, for what it does, a 4mm thread in the back and then a circlip groove after that. Are you serious? So I go to fit it, won't fit in. All the new ones are bloody 4mm. So what I was going to do in the first place is what I finished up doing. Luckily on the shelf I had a 4mm tap, and the fingers were trembling, that's why it wasn't filmed. Me, shaky old bloke, tapping something out of few thou to get it to 4mm. It was difficult at first, then the tap bit, then it cut, so there might have been a bit of hard crap in there. And it's screwed in. I'm not going to muck about screwing things in and out to show you, but I'm 90% of the way there. Ever since I bought the machine, the little roll pin in the back, which also measures at 4mm, has been broken off by some bullhead. So I've now got to either extract that, and I've tried to find a screw fine enough to screw into it, but I haven't got one. So what I may do is just mount this up on the drill press on luckily it's a 1/2-inch hole, set it up on a bit of 1/2-inch rod, get the drill bit centered on that roll pin, move around a couple of degrees and drill another 4mm hole and super glue in a bit of 4mm rod, a bit of welding rod or something. So I thought you might like to see what's happening here. I got the old girl, I think, into a better state now, but when you get down to fine threads like that, if the manufacturer changes the thread, they could at least send you the right one or let you know it's a couple of thou different. Okay, I do have a large countersink to grind, and luckily this time it's got a 1/2-inch shank so I can use it on a collet, and I'll get you over close to the form relief grinder. You can see that happening. I've got the J&S 540 surface grinder exchanged for a flick grinder coming up later next week, and I haven't had any takers on the Cincinnati number 2, so if anyone out there is itching for a tool and cutter grinder, it's a good big heavy old machine to do a resto on. So give you a look around later on. Awesome. Okay guys, this is a close-up shot of timing the countersink to the form relief grinder. Now, if you have a close look at it, you can see down here is a cast iron block, which is just the indexing finger off the wrong foot, but it gives me a nice parallel surface. On the rear is a 8-inch or 200mm engineer square, and with the locking plate in on the head of the grinder into the setting slot in the cam holder, you rotate the cutter within the collet until the front and rear of the rear flute both touch the square at the same time. So then you've got the countersink timed to the cutter, to the cam and to the machine. Quite simple setup, very hard to extract out of their instruction manual. So that took a while for me to find out. So Now that you've seen that setup, and I'll swing you around, you can see a little bit more on the form relief grinder there. That's just the setting plate that I made up, dropping into the groove, quite simple. I'll try and get the camera further over towards the door and give you a look at grinding the countersink. Okay, one last little touch. Just run the finishing stone up the front of the cutting edge. Yep. They get just a micro burr on them, I like to take that off. Otherwise you end up with what's called a fretted edge, and it reduces life at the edge substantially. Radio, time for lunch. I'll bring you back later. G'day guys, coming up for the day. It's been a little bit on the hectic side here, but I've got a fair bit done. After this I'll show you where the grinders are going to go and where they're going to come from. I'm drilling out that dowel pin, roll pin, and I thought, bugger it, I won't drill it out, I'll just take that position, move it around a bit and put a new one in. Now I measured the hole again accurately this time, and it's 3.5 not 4 mil, so a roll pin won't do the job. But what I've got is plenty of 1/8 TIG filler rod. So I've put about a 1/2 inch round tool bit in the vise and just snipped it up. I then used a centering pin for an annular cutter to get the position in the middle of that roll pin that's already in there. I then clamped the old roll down drill press vise to the table. Now all I'll do is move that about 30 degrees around and drill a hole in a new position. Couldn't be easier. That'll get that part accurate. So you see where I'm trying to squeeze things in. I've actually managed to make a little bit of room in this shed, putting shit up on the shelf, and I'll be doing more of that. But I'll finish this job off, try and find some TIG rod to glue in there and bring it back in then. Bye for now. Okay, well, part of the day is coming together. Bit of 3.2 12p stick electrode, number 30 hole drilled in here, super glue, 1 milling machine fixed at last. Okay, I'll move the camera around and show you what I'm doing in the shop. Okay guys, finish up this week's session. If you look down past me to the back, that's been tidied up a little bit there, and I realise I've got a lot of tools that don't have to be here near the tool and cutter grinders. For instance, Mighty Bite clamping kit, tools for flaring over the boiler tubes, a right angle gearbox when I get around to making a lift locomotive, welding clamps, G-clamps. A lot of that can be moved further down the shed. The locomotive parts can go over onto that shelf, and I intend to have one shelf here just for tool and cutter grinder bits, so all of my gear can get up off the floor and tidy up a little bit. Just in front of the shaper here will be the coolant tank for the cylindrical grinder, and the cylindrical grinder will live in front. It's 1.7 metres across, and I have to leave 400 mils either side for the table movement. And the old Cincinnati number 2 from down here, when I get a taker for that, it'll get the coke and sars, and that's probably where the Swiss-made Haro grinder will live for a couple of months until I get it up and running. And that'll give me easy access to the Haro grinder for machining if I have to make any brackets, etc. So I hope to entertain you this week. If you want, please like and subscribe and support the channel, and send me any questions you might have. Bye for now.